Freestyle the news!
We see you. We hear you. And we stand with you.
Let's get it. Everybody wanna talk before they drop out. Ain't nobody wanna take a loss, so they talk down. I've been out here cooking with the sauce and the fallout. Recipe was sketchy, better pay me when you called out. Start a war in the desert out of pure fake. Take your first L, throw a match with an old face. BB27, motherfucker, he like 5'8". All these politicians wanna talk about the crime rate. Another cop when you running through a subway. Stop, frisk, light, reboot AI. Better find another owner or you might just die. Trying to sell me a monitor at the same damn price. On this goddamn shop, on the scroll, don't stop. While they fucking up the laws from the goddamn top. When your votes look bad, so you make those drops. Say you bigger than Barbie after your franchise flopped. Ain't nobody wanna talk about the dropout. Everybody wanna talk till they drop out. Ain't nobody wanna talk about the dropout. Ain't nobody wanna take a loss, so they talk down, down, down. You could talk down, down, down. You could talk down, 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 down. Ain't nobody wanna take a loss, they get called out. Speech time, where everybody been clapping for what their team likes. Biden finally hungry instead of sleep like. They clapping back with their surrogate looking weak, right? I love America. Jesus Christ, Mark Roberts in a whole meeting whispered to a monkey paw, jet fuel, steel beams. That became a real guy, acting like his brain died. He the kind of dude to recite the shit when you hell dive. Unironically, you didn't violate the policy. Fucking kids over like Nickelodeon prodigy. Scandal make an album, if you ain't mad then you gotta be laying off every union. You keeping up with the robbery on contracts. Put the money in the bond jack. Yeah, they put you on the ballot with some lost cash. Culture war heavy on the callback. Talking about how titties kill woke in the basement writing all caps. This for the legends. We make the world with the karma you sketching. Everyone watching get way too invested. We raising our hands just to send them a message like ain't nobody wanna talk about the dropout. Everybody wanna talk till they drop out. Ain't nobody wanna talk about the dropout. Ain't nobody wanna take a loss, so they talk down, down, down. You could talk down, down, down. You could talk down, 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 down. Ain't nobody wanna take a loss and they gone now. Too soon. I'm gonna be honest with you, I still have not gotten used to all of this flipped in the correct direction. I'm learning. Hey, thank you guys so much for watching Freestyle the News. If you like what you heard, please raise both of your hands into the sky as you gather energy from every living being in the known universe to create a giant ball of energy, a bomb of spirit, if you will, and throw it at that like button as it smashes into it and then eventually explodes. And then leave a comment on your favorite bar. If you haven't heard already, Akira Toriyama, the man behind Dragon Ball, Dr. Slump, Dragon Quest, honestly, the man who has influenced pretty much 50% of all pop culture like on Earth, passed away tragically on March 1st. Even if you are not a fan of manga or Dragon Ball or the things he directly penned, almost every single piece of media that exists today was inspired in some form by something Akira Toriyama did. His reach was gargantuan. He started illustrating at a young age, drawing animals and machinery like cars and things he liked. And after working at an ad agency for a few years where he was like late a lot and dressed too casually for them, he left and decided to enter a manga contest for Weekly Shonen Jump. And when he finally published his first work, Wonder Island, it was rated last in popularity. To which Toriyama, who was going to quit after he got his check, said, "Okay, you want to see some shit?" And he eventually created Dr. Slump, an incredibly renowned gag manga, funny and heartfelt about a little android named Arale. And after that took everybody by storm, Toriyama was like, okay, I created one-hit manga. I don't know if it'll ever come out, but let's see if this works. And then he invented Dragon Ball, which if you have lived under a rock, Dragon Ball is one of the most influential pieces of work and art in history. It is not hyperbole to say it is on par or almost more influential than something like Lord of the Rings. It single-handedly defined generations of an entire genre. Like so many of the things that rule the media landscape today are literally with Toriyama and Dragon Ball in their DNA. And the thing about Dragon Ball wasn't just screaming heroes who are powerful, can split planets in half. The thing that made Dragon Ball so endearing was its whimsy and its embrace of life. This was like folktale that eventually delved into science fiction, and the scope got so big with these people who were so unbelievably powerful, yet at the same time they had very real lives like our own. You would see people who would battle for the fate of the universe in a martial arts competition, while at the same time becoming a radish farmer. And it wasn't like, oh, this is their alter ego. No, like being a radish farmer was hard for them. Crazy, insane villains ended up starting families on Earth and having everyday issues. It was such a joy to read the work that he did. And it inspired and touched so many people. Ask anybody from Latin America about Dragon Ball. It's almost like a religion to them. And I can tell you, me personally, I grew up with a lot of heroes that just did not look like me. I would get bullied for that often, about like how the only person on TV who looked like me was Apu. And then I saw Dragon Ball like flipping through the channels on a rerun. And for some reason, I just related to it. Like they felt like me, like I could be one of them. It was a different sort of Eastern influence, but it was Eastern enough for me to feel seen. And I was obsessed, man. I lived my life by those lessons. The idea that you don't always win, that life can be unsatisfying and melancholy, but ultimately beautiful. That redemption, even for the worst of us, is possible. That it's not about fighting to be better than anybody else, but it's about fighting to be the best version of yourself. By the way, that's just one thing he did. He also created all of the designs for Dragon Quest, for Chrono Trigger. Toriyama is probably the most influential artist in the last century, next to Jack Kirby. I'm still crying a little bit. I'm like trying not to get emotional. But if you don't know what all the fuss is about, if you don't know why he impacted so many people, I promise you, go crack open a volume of Dragon Ball and fall in love. While his death has been compared to many other people, it compares most to me with Robin Williams, because Robin Williams' mission in life, it seems, with the movies he chose and the way he lived, was to bring other people joy. And Akira Toriyama, even up until his last breath, was bringing people joy. He still had more projects in the pipeline. He was 68, he was still going. It, for me, is too soon. And so, Toriyama Sensei, I cannot express how different my life turned out because I read your work. People don't know, like, my life would have been so fundamentally different. I was depressed. I didn't believe in myself, and I had some sort of belief to go on because of your work. There are a few things that did that for me, and yours was like the North Star. So if you love me and you love this channel, raise your hands up for Akira Toriyama and give him some of your spirit. I'm such a bitch, man. Okay. And let me know in the comments if you were affected at all by Toriyama's passing. I'm sure quite a few people were. This man made entire governments like issue statements of mourning. Here's what I'll leave it at. There are many people that tell you that art can change the world. Toriyama's legacy is absolute proof of that. The world we live in, all of the joyous things would be different without what he did. And again, he just wanted some money at 23 after leaving his job. That's somebody I look up to completely. RIP. All right, let's move on to Biden's State of the Union. If you caught the last Zaid Talks, which by the way, please go watch, we talked a little bit about what was on the line for the State of the Union. The State of the Union usually is kind of a whatever moment or metric in a presidential campaign. It doesn't really amount to much, but there were oversized stakes here specifically at this one because Biden has been getting hammered in the polls, both for his response to Gaza and because of his age. Multiple people not seeing him as a strong candidate. The media cycle was unbelievably unkind to him, despite good economic news and really landmark things like the infrastructure bill passed. So there was a lot riding on this. And so how did Biden do? Pretty fucking well. In a fiery speech, Biden came out swinging, trying to make a case that electrified a lot of Democrats and had a lot of Republicans saying, oh, this speech was super partisan, which, by the way, if we're playing politics right now and the message is not Biden is old, that's a win. He just needed to seem alive, and he was alive. And look, polling after the State of the Union showed a remarkable improvement on people's opinion of Biden. However, I will say it is less of an improvement than any of the years prior, but there are multiple things that could go into that. This is a different kind of election cycle. This is also one of the few elections with two of the most unpopular people ever running. So there is a lot of precedent we're breaking here. But still, while Biden is finally getting a pretty decent press cycle, there were also a few controversies, like this exchange with Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal. That's right.
Yeah. Illegal. Now look, if we're playing politics, you know why Biden's trying to do this. He's trying to split the difference, to try to cut off and attack that he's being soft on the immigration issue. But come on, dude. That's a bad pejorative and a poor choice of words. And even when pressed on it, Biden was a little bit stubborn on kind of figuring out his footing there.
You use the word illegal when talking about the man who allegedly killed Laken Riley.
An undocumented person. And I shouldn't have used illegal. It's undocumented. And look.
And as we also know, Biden has been getting hammered by the uncommitted vote. And to that end, it seems like the administration is understanding that, look, this is a big issue. With them independently deciding to distribute aid to Gaza, and even this small exchange about Netanyahu on the floor after the State of the Union speech.
I told him, baby, show me pieces. I said, baby, you know I can't come to Sure, just...
And while there are quite a few takeaways from Biden's State of the Union address, the biggest story days after is the response from Katie Britt. If you haven't heard of Katie Britt, she's a Republican senator from Alabama. She's the youngest female senator to ever be elected at the age of 40. She's also a fairly staunch, run-of-the-mill conservative. Pro-life, anti-transgender affirming care, secure the border, Christian values, traditional family. And she was tasked this year of giving the response to the State of the Union. Now, if you don't know about the history of State of the Union responses, they are not good. That is it's a trap. Ask Bobby Jindal or Marco Rubio as he tries to get a sip of water how well their State of the Union responses went. But that being said, Katie, change history.
Good evening, America. My name is Katie Britt. Tonight, the American family needs to have a tough conversation because the truth is, we're all worried about the future of our nation. The country we know and love seems to be slipping away, and it feels like the next generation will have fewer opportunities and less freedoms than we did. Actions in his first 100 days. Land, spying on our military installations, and spreading propaganda through the likes of TikTok. We see you, we hear you, and we stand with you.
We are the American family. We sit around our family table. What the fuck is this? What the this is like somebody got bombed with Joker gas right before they went on to deliver a speech. There's 17 minutes of this. It is so eerily creepy how much she just tries to smile. And after she delivers like horrific news, just jumping back to the smile.
This crisis is despicable. And the truth is, it is almost entirely preventable.
What the fuck? I was trying to cut onions and I chopped off my finger.
Every kiss begins with K.
But that's not the only weird thing. You see, here's the problem. Katie also told a pretty graphic story during her speech. I can't repeat the details of that story without this video just getting torpedoed. She talked about a woman who was trafficked by the Mexican cartel and subject to horrific conditions, attributing it to Joe Biden's border policies. This was like the first big example that she brought up in her speech about Biden's policies on the border, and this being a key example of why they are messed up. Here's the thing though, the woman that she's bringing up, her name is Carla Jacinto Romero, and she's talked about these experiences extensively, including a visit to the border in 2023, where Britt was in attendance. And here's the thing, her story happened in 2004, between 2004 and 2008, during George W. Bush's presidency. Even more so, Romero wasn't informed that her story was going to be a part of Britt's anecdote. And that's especially troubling because Romero is a huge advocate for this kind of stuff. She obviously went through harrowing experiences, saying, quote, "I am involved in the fight to stop trafficking and I don't think it should be political. The work I do is not a game." She found out about the speech happening through social media, and she said she thought it was very strange. I also think it's very strange. I also think it's really fucked up for you to talk about something so drastic and horrific for a political point while you smile like a crazy person and misattribute the decade it happened. That kind of stuff is not a game. And before I hear in the comments people going,
Well, Britt was trying to make a point, typical liberal.
shut the fuck up. Most Republicans hated her speech. In fact, her speech is the thing that might actually unify America because it was widely panned. Even Trump is like, what the fuck? What is this shit? And rightly so. It's weird this lady starts her speech off by saying that Joe Biden's speech was the performance of a politician when she has like the quintessential performance of a politician with her weird Ron DeSantis. It's not even at least Ron tried to pull off a semi-decent smile. Her smile scares me. Her grin is like from the movie Smile. You know, like when you see that shit and you're like, oh my God. Also, her son's name is Ridgway. Bro,
my daughter Bennett and my son Ridgway.
My name is spelled Z-A-I-D. I know the pain of having a weird name. Ridgway, I will say, is a pretty cool name, but also, why the fuck would you name your kid Ridgway? Like, what? Like, that's like me naming my child PlayStation. These are my kids, Aliana and GeForce RTX 4090. This is my daughter iPad. We have a baby on the way. It's a boy. Sonic Adventure 2. Yeah, but absolutely insane. But anyway, if you saw her speech or anything, let me know what you think in the comments. Also, I'll give a month free of Too Soon Crew of anybody who can link a picture of themselves doing the best impression of this lady. Just wow. I have a life update / story to tell you. So I live in a pretty nice building in California, right? And our laundry has been broken for like the last let's say 2 months. Not all the time, like it's either the washer or the dryer, and now it's been both. So then the people who own it were like, hey, let's actually like put money into replacing the things that we need to fix. And we got these brand new washers and dryers. And as soon as I went to the room, I noticed, oh, I have to use an app. And it was one of those things where like I knew what the score was. I'm going to use this app and it's going to harvest all of the things that I give it and then sell it to someone who will overload me with ads for the next 4 months. And honestly, a year ago, I would have been worried about where that information was going and who was trading it. But I'm not, because honestly, for the last year, I have had Incogni, the sponsor of today's show. If you have not heard of Incogni, they are the set it and forget it solution to getting your data away from bad faith data brokers who will trade all of your information at the drop of a hat. Anything from spam messages to weird phone calls, all of those things you hate about the ad world or about bad faith people knowing things about you that they shouldn't know. Incogni makes it their mission to go and find all of these brokers, give them the complicated legalese they need to take your data down, and harasses them until they do it. And they give you a full report as they get it done. Here's my Incogni dashboard when I started. Here it is now. And again, I've been able to get email addresses back that were completely screwed. I've had periods where I haven't gotten a spam call. Do you understand how like precious that is? Like a period without a spam call? So listen, if you want a little bit of peace of mind on your data, or you have a weird washing machine that's been installed into your apartment and you don't want them knowing everything about you, or you want to support a rapper who talks about the news all the time while he raps it, who could that be? Go to incogni.com/Tabani, enter in the code Tabani for 60% off. 60%? That's almost the amount of reinforcements that I call that get blown up in Helldivers 2. I am bad at that game. But honestly, that was something that literally happened this week, and I was immediately like, oh, okay, I'm safe. I'm gonna be okay. And I want you to have that too. So go to incogni.com/Tabani, enter in the code Tabani, and get some peace of mind. All right, back to the breakdown. Anyway, let's move on to Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. Mike Tyson is set to be Jake Paul's next boxing opponent on July 20th, following his loss to Tyson Fury. Netflix will air the match for free to all of their subscribers. And in case you're wondering, yes, Mike Tyson is old. He is 57 years old, gonna be 58, versus Jake Paul's 27. There was video of him walking with a cane not too long ago, going back into his apartment building. There's been a lot of criticism online of this. Do I think it's a good or a bad idea? I think it's a sensationalist idea. I'm sorry, I just have never liked Jake Paul as a boxer. I feel like a lot of the things that celebrity boxing has done to the sport, as somebody who used to be a big fan of boxing, my brother wanted to be a boxer for a while, just aren't positive and have really hamstrung kind of like the art of boxing and progressing that sport forward. Boxing has kind of done that to itself too. It had a bunch of controversial rulings and a lot of fucked up shit going on. But that being said, I don't know if I'm gonna watch this one. I don't really watch any Jake Paul fight, but you know, Mike Tyson must miss it. He did that boxing match not too long ago where he was trying to fall back in love with the sport. I don't think this is somebody just coercing an old man into a fight, but yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Katie Porter is under fire for saying her loss in the Democratic primary to Adam Schiff and Steve Garvey was rigged. Yeah, that's pretty charged language, Katie. And I say this as somebody who, Katie Porter represents my old district where I used to live, and I was very happy to see her take the reins of that. But that being said, this is not the fucking move. Katie. But Katie is a pretty reasoned person, and what I'm happy about is that when she was finally confronted with it, she doubled down. Actually, I'm not happy. She doubled down, saying that rigged means manipulated by dishonest means. A few billionaires spent 10 million plus on attack ads against me, including an ad rated false by an independent fact checker. That is dishonest means to manipulate the ad. Okay, that's shitty. But you know what rigged means. We all live in the age of ads and spin. When the guy everybody in your party is trying to beat for the last, let's say 12 years, keeps saying rigged and fake and all of these things, you're smart enough to know what that elicits. And you're also smart enough to know how politics works and when something comes off as feisty and independent and when something comes off as bitter and biting. Just take the L on it. You shouldn't have used the word rigged. You could have said infiltrated. You could have said billionaires destabilized the race. Billionaires funneled in tons of cash. We're fighting for election integrity. The entirety of the people you're fighting are saying that, oh, Democrats are hypocrites. And here you are using the language you have talked shit about for years. Stupidly disappointing. And as a former OC resident, you made me proud to be part of the OC for a while. I almost forgot the terrible Fox show for a minute. But yeah, do better, Katie. I do hope you get your seat back, though. Okay, we got a couple more stories, then we're going to go. Zack Snyder recently made a couple comments on the Joe Rogan Experience about Barbie.
It's like almost 90 million views, right? 90 million people, 90 million starts, 60 million times 10. That's 1.6 billion. You know, so like you look at the view numbers, you can use that rough, so more people probably saw Rebel Moon than saw Barbie in the theater, right?
Zack. For anybody keeping score, Rebel Moon, which was critically panned, savaged, like even by fans, like savaged, has not been mentioned by Netflix in the last, since it came out. Barbie made $1.4 billion worldwide. If Rebel Moon had a higher viewership than Barbie, this would not be the first time I or anyone else heard about it. This would be in every press release from here till infinity. Netflix would proudly shout this from every rafter they can. You think they're gonna give up free bumps in their stock price? Rebel Moon would be on the front page of Netflix every single day. They would push it to you, see it a second time. Oh, you liked Rebel Moon, here's more Rebel Moon related stuff. There would be a constant drip of new Rebel Moon related information coming out because nobody gives a fuck about critics. If they did, Coyote versus Acme would be alive. They care about money and eyeballs. And unless you announce the Rebel Moon expanded universe on this podcast, or literally a week later because you did better than Barbie, I don't fucking believe you. Believe it or not, outside of fanaticism, Zack Snyder has made some really cool shit. It's just the shit that he has ego in sucks. Army of the Dead and the spinoff are awesome. 300 changed the game. I even like Man of Steel. Sucker Punch is terrible. But yeah, I just had to say that. That's just what's wild, Zach. TikTok is facing a bill that could ban it in the US. The bill Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary-Controlled Applications Act is attempting to force ByteDance, the company that owns TikTok, to sell it if it wants to continue to operate in the US. And Biden has signaled that he wants to sign the bill. TikTok has also been spreading a 5-alarm fire on all of this, saying this is a bill to directly ban TikTok in general. Now listen, it's not as cut and dry. Reading from Time, if the bill passed, it would make it possible for the president to identify and designate social media platforms under the control of countries considered adversarial to the US as national security threats. If the platform is deemed a national security threat, it will be banned from app stores and web hosting services unless it cuts all ties with the foreign adversarial country within 180 days. Now, here's the thing. Biden could just be like, oh, TikTok is chill, let it rock. It doesn't outright ban TikTok, but China is an adversarial country to the US. There are concerns that the CCP can access a lot of the data that TikTok has. This has been an ongoing debate. You probably have heard of it for years. It would definitely give the president a very, very big authority, and it has passed. So he's definitely going to sign it. Now, I don't think he's going to outright ban TikTok like this very second. I also don't think TikTok is an angel in this regard. I really like TikTok. I think it's a brilliant social media platform, but I think that it also has a lot of problems, especially as of late. right? With multiple music companies being frustrated with them and starting to pull out and kind of back their competitors. But again, we'll have to wait and see. I don't think it's gonna happen like outright. Anyway, what do you think? Let me know in the comments if you think TikTok is gonna get banned or stick around, or if you live in the magic world of Instagram Reels and this is your first time hearing about TikTok. You have a lot of catching up to do. That's our show. Thank you guys so much for watching. RIP to Akira Toriyama. He just meant a lot, man. I wanted to say something. Go check out Zaid Talks. Anyway, my name is Tabani, and I'll see y'all soon. Let's go!